Everybody, welcome to the new media show. And here we are. I had to do the quick clap in case something disconnected. But Rob, how are you? Yeah, 7 mil. 7 million shows. Yeah, Spotify 7 million. And yeah, and that's all. They're just on Spotify. That's it. Especially so many of them are just test. Publish a real number, like how many of those 7 million have published a new episode, and then it got so bad that the podcast index stopped um, allowing new shows to be listed on their platform because it was bad. You know, yeah, from Spotify specifically because the um, making sure my yeah, because the shows were just again, like test shows, and there was nothing to them. So they set a minimum number. Yeah. Oh, when we offered a free no credit card required free trial, we got 800 in a month. And but guess what? We got the same number of actual conversions. And meanwhile, we're left with 800 shows, and about an eighth of them were scammers and dealing with people that were uploading radio shows and publishing episodes and applying for programmatic, and it's just like you know, it was bad. So as much as we'd love to offer a free non-credit card required trial, it's just not possible. But they don't care; they just let them go. And sure, yeah. Rob, for some reason, you're not making it downstream. Why are you not making it downstream? Huh. Okay, hang on a second. The other day, give me a 1 2. Oh, God, what's going on? All right, so this is going to be interesting because I'm going to have to stop the recording because the road has screwed us here. I have to stop the stream. How's that going to affect things? Hmm. Why? I can hear you. How come they can't hear you in? Give me a 1 2 again.
One, two,
Oh,
three,
there we
four.
go. All right, that works.
Yeah, but
So,
for how long?
yeah, that's the question. So let's um just for sorry if you're watching live. This is when you get a chance to watch the show start over again because we weren't well, I can fix it because I've got the master audio over here. So, I can fix it. All right. We'll fix it in
Yeah,
post.
and before you actually publish it to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
RSS
yeah,
feed,
yeah.
right?
That's why I did the clap at the beginning.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, it's just lots and lots of dead shows, and but at the same time, there was an article that came out that talked about active shows and the number of new shows coming online, which is way down um,
Mm-hmm.
this year compared to others. So I guess it is what it is. But
Yeah, I think a lot of people are realizing that it's a real commitment to make a podcast, and then you equate that to expectations around everybody wants to make money from everything that they're doing with creating content these days.
Right.
Um, they may not be able to make money, but everybody wants to, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody is searching around to find whatever, side hustle they can do to make a extra buck on the side. And a lot of people thought that that was possible through podcasting, and it is possible, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not a quick buck situation. Everybody's looking for a quick buck these
Yeah.
days. Yeah,
So, it's just a number to report to the stockholders. It doesn't mean anything.
right.
And Spotify is by default turn off RSS feeds, so people get over there and they think they're podcasting, and it's just like YouTubers. I ask them, where is your? I can't find you on Apple Podcasts. And what's funny is we get tickets all the time. For some reason, people think we're Spotify support, even though they Google podcast support, and of course, Blueberry ranks real high on that ranking. And they come over and they send us a ticket saying, "Hey, how come I'm not on Apple Podcasts?" And we go to look, and they're not even hosting with us. They're hosted over at Spotify, and they can't even get an answer over there. So they
Yeah,
don't
there's a
even.
lot of, yeah, I hear it too. There's a lot of confusion around, you know, uh, people will think that like Blueberry is a listening platform, right?
Well, they
And
don't so much consider it anymore. It
no,
used
no,
to.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying, but I
yeah.
hear people think that the like Lipson and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Buzzsprout and all that stuff are actual listening
Right.
platforms. So it is a little more confusing than that because, like Podbean does have a strong kind of listening platform,
Sure.
and there's some players that's what makes this whole ecosystem so complicated for people to really understand about how it all works, because everybody's doing something different and it always works different, and people that publish to Spotify don't even realize oftentimes that they need an RSS feed to be in Apple,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this lack of knowledge is permeating this
And
space.
of course, Spotify didn't integrate with Apple to do auto submission after all those years of paying people in India
Yeah.
or wherever it was to submit shows. They have an automated way of doing it, and they haven't done that because we don't want.
Well, they don't want people to be
They
over on
don't want
Apple.
people to be
Right.
on Apple, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it just, it's a very, very poor, very, very poor mindset. So it is. It
Yeah,
is.
but that's Spotify. Spotify's always had kind of a
Uh,
break it and
yeah,
then maybe fix it later type of an approach to the market.
and they're not
But if you
even.
look at oh,
Go ahead.
if you look at the podcast index, they have 4.6 million shows in there, and Spotify showing 7 million, and Apple Podcast is showing 2.8
Right.
million. So Apple's doing a good job of kind of curating their catalog, much better than anybody else in the industry. That's for sure.
Well, to be honest with you, even though we don't have a director anymore, we still have the full catalog of shows, and we're still pulling
Right.
in. And the amount of shows on a monthly basis that gets a red flag in our system that basically said either the RSS feed is dead or the media went offline, one or the
Hmm.
other, or both, is astronomical numbers. And we kill those, but yet a lot of the platforms don't clean up, and Podcast Index included. I don't think they've been doing any cleanup per se of dead dead shows. And what I consider a dead show is no media, no RSS feed. That's a dead show,
Hmm.
and we give them enough time to come back in case there's you know some technical issue that's going on, and very
Well,
rarely do they ever come back.
though there are shows I think out there um, that have kind of like either an active RSS feed but no
Yeah,
episodes,
that's true.
or
Yeah,
episodes that are available off the server but no
right.
RSS feed.
They
So
didn't they didn't clean up.
yeah,
Yeah, they didn't get cleaned up.
right,
Yeah,
right. So it has to be one or the other gets excluded from
yeah.
the directory. And who, based on your own directory, Todd, which of these three has the closest to what you find as far as active, you know, live? RSS feeds? Is it Apple or is it Podcast Index?
Probably Apple.
Apple's closest.
Yeah, probably closest. But again, there's a lot of dead over there too. So, they've
Depends on what you define as dead, right?
well,
Yeah.
again, it all depends. If the RSS feed is up, I don't know what their criteria for killing a show over there is, and the delisting. Um, I know that what our internal criteria is. So
That piece of information would be good for Apple to disclose to the industry,
they can't because
I
it's a
think.
stockholder thing again.
Well, no, what the criteria is
Oh,
for
for
being
delist.
included in the catalog
Yeah,
or not.
we had a
That should be disclosed to the industry
it was
so
we had
people
a
know what to expect.
we had an interesting one the other day. We had a very rare your show's been rejected from Apple Podcast, and I was like, what is this? And I thought it was something, I said, do we have someone that's doing something really naughty, or is it, obvious? What was the reason? And in the email it said was audio quality. And so I bopped into the system and I started listening to the audio, and the audio didn't sound bad. Wasn't the best. I was pretty surprised. So I don't know if they have an automated system over there that's looking at the audio. Maybe, Ted, if you're listening, I think the tech support team worked with the podcaster and maybe got it resolved, but maybe there was some media because I just listened to the latest episode. I didn't listen to stuff that was down the stack.
Mhm.
Maybe there was some malformed audio or something causing a problem. But yeah, it's the first. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. It wasn't. It was basically kind of it was a suspension, like a suspension email, and so that again, that's the first time I've ever seen that come back from Apple from a show.
So based on its format or
It
based
just
on the
said
content?
audio. It was basically the audio quality. That was
Audio quality.
yeah. I'd
Okay.
have to pull up the email. I've got it saved because it was so unusual.
Hmm.
Um, but one thing's for sure. Some things that will never be are actually going to happen again. I will never, I will never go back to podcast movement. I'll never go back to podcast movement.
Now, that's what he specifically told me in a
Adam
conversation I
Curry,
had with him. Yeah.
going back, and you see, he has got. So it's. I think what has happened is Rocky Thomas was on a podcasting 2.0 show on the
Mhm.
boardroom, and I'm actually in between episodes. I listened to the current episode, but I need to go back and listen to Rocky's episode because I was trying to get the insider scoop on what he had to say about coming and speaking. But he'll be speaking on Podcasting 2.0 in a prime afternoon spot, not one directly after lunch. At least I don't. I think he said 1:30, which is probably okay. Um, you never know. And they're gonna be on the SoundStack stage. So
Yeah, I remember just a short few years ago that Dave Jones and he had
yeah,
a session, and
it
there was
was it at
probably
Podcast
like
Move It
maybe a
or
dozen people. Yeah, it was at
oh
Podcast Movement,
yeah, it was only a dozen
and
showed up,
yeah, it was only like a dozen people that actually showed up for that.
but it was right
Um,
after immediately after lunch, and it was kind of a weird time to
yeah.
have a session. And but here's the key, Adam, you got to promote it. You got to promote your session and talk about it. We'll talk about it and make sure that it's promoted. But um, the only way you're going to get guarantee a good number of people is to promote it because these podcasters don't know you, I, or Rob from a hole in the ground at this point. So you need to promote it, and I hopefully SoundStack will promote the heck out of it too, and we get a full house in and educate creators. So he's going to fly up from Fredericksburg and speak, and then fly home. So I can't even buy him a beer. He's not going to be
Hmm.
in town long enough to do that. So
So
uh,
he's That's right. He's out by Austin, isn't he? So,
N
right.
well, hill country, wherever that is, that's like 3 hours. I don't know, someone from Texas can tell us in chat.
Yeah.
Um, 2 or 3 hours from, maybe it's 2, but wherever hill country is, Fredericksburg is where he's living these
Got
days.
it.
Yeah. So he's got a dentist friend that has a snazzy new airplane, and they're gonna fly up and, um, much better than driving, that's for damn sure. Coming from Austin to, Dallas up I-40, that just sucks. That drive just sucks sucks. There's always wrecks, there's always traffic jams. Yeah,
Huh.
so good choice to fly. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, very, 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 very smart. But I was kind of surprised on YouTube saying they're going to crack down on the slop. But the question is, well, they said they were. And then I saw some post commentary where say, well, this is just the start.
Okay. Okay. I think you should back up and give it some context there, Todd. What are you talking about?
AI slop
Where?
on YouTube. I said YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did? Oh, I didn't hear that.
Okay,
So,
sorry. Yeah. So they're planning to crack down on AI slop and repetitive content. You know how much slop there is out there now? How much AI generated content on YouTube? And they're
did
not going to allow it to be monetized.
did YouTube actually use that language, or are people just making that up?
I'm reading your show notes, so I'm going
No,
to.
I know, but I mean, I just wonder if people actually use that um, from YouTube, or is it's being painted in that way?
Yeah.
That's where this article came from, was TechCrunch.
Yeah,
So
they said
yeah,
that
just
prepares crackdown on mass produced and repetitive video as concern
yeah,
over AI slop grows. So
yeah,
that was the title of their article. So
yeah. So
that's good
yeah, so
news.
yeah, so I don't believe that YouTube actually used that language,
No,
is what I'm saying. Yeah,
but it's it's almost hard to avoid it now. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, there's so much that's history. It's all these history type things, and unfortunately, stuff that I like to listen to real people talk about. You know, certain topics. It's that same da, 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 voice that you hear across multiple channels, and so, yeah, and then not monetize if they demonetize it at a great level, um,
mhm.
that's going to just shut down the incentive to do this because they want real voices.
Well, yeah, um, and I think it specifically says content that's repetitive in a podcast style upload is what it is. It says that the concerns about AI impact on quality, content, originality, and audience trust. It's a potential bellwether for future platform policies affecting podcast distribution. Now, if we're talking about YouTube here, um, that would apply generally across all video content, not just what's being termed podcasts on YouTube. So I think we're a little bit confusing the issue here. I think to some degree, I'm not sure that TechCrunch really did a good job on this, but um, I'm not sure that what they're referring to specifically would be what I would consider to be podcasts. I would consider them just to
Oh,
be
it's just
um, on videos
yeah,
on YouTube that are being mass produced.
yep, yep.
They're being done via creating a transcript
Mm-hmm.
and then adding that transcript to, let's say, a clone
And some
voice,
pictures. Yep,
and then creating a video from it.
yep.
I wouldn't necessarily lump it in as a podcast per se.
Oh, it's. I don't think they said specifically it's about podcasts, but it definitely basically brought up 2 points: repetitive content, AI,
Mhm.
and you've got people that are blatantly ripping off content as well, and then reproducing it, calling it its own. So there's a lot of that. that's on there. But I think the best part of it um, is the ability to get rid of these AI synthetic hosts, and to demonetize and get rid of the content, because I think what they're worried about is just being overrun, and they're already being overrun. They should have acted some time ago, but this is going to be some automated process. But I would love for YouTube to put some sort of flag. Basically, we'd able to say, yes, this is AI generated content, and flag videos as a user that it was AI. Put that somewhere we can just say report, um,
Mm-hmm.
to help them. I'm of the opinion that if you're going to create content, you need to create content as a creator, um, and that work should be rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
I can build a script. My myth series, I have AI help me with ideation, and then I write a rough script, and then I have it help me clean up my script that I'm doing for the podcast news and myth show that I'm putting out.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't use the AI to write the original script. So, and what I do is I do talking points. I walk through my 8, 9, 10 talking points, and
Sure.
then I get some help. And then I have to edit it again. So it's a couple hour process to do a 5-minute show. Um, and again, I think as long as a human is involved and the human is narrating, but at what point does it get so good that they can't detect it?
Well, I think that's what's coming here. And I'm actually looking deeper at the article itself. And the article doesn't actually use the term podcast in
Oh no,
any of
it
its.
was never mentioning podcast at all. Yeah, it has nothing to do with podcasts. It's purely AI generated content on YouTube. And
Yeah.
yeah. So, but if
Yeah.
you're creating that type of AI generated content and calling it a podcast, then you're probably going to be demonetized.
Yeah. I think the term that was used in this summary was podcast style uploads, which I'm not even
Oh,
sure what that is.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So,
But it's any
yeah.
content. It's not podcast content.
Right. It's just any AI generated um, video that just doesn't come across very authentic and real, which
Yeah.
there is quite a bit. I mean, I see it on YouTube all the time, and you do have to wonder really how good the content is um, that comes out of that, and I think it's also a reflection on, to some degree, how good the content is that's coming out of AI too,
Yeah.
because there is a direct correlation between the content that comes out in these AI um, video pieces that is generated based on AI. If all of the script and the narration is AI created, then it's really the fault of the AI. It's not really a human problem. It's just that
Hmm.
the AI is not very good yet.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. It's
it's a complicated topic here, and this is something that we're going to have to wrestle with increasingly, especially as the AI actually starts to get better. I know that we saw the launch of Grok 4 here this past week. I don't know if you've had a chance to play around with it,
I
Todd,
haven't.
at all.
No, but I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Things are progressing on this front, and I keep hearing about Chat GPT 5, which
Yeah.
is coming around the corner
Yeah. It should be here
here soon.
sometime
Right.
this late summer or something.
Yeah.
Speculation. It could
So,
drop at any time.
yeah. So we could see a big jump
I
in the
I
quality of this stuff.
I never thought I would pay $200 a month for a single tool. It's pretty amazing. Um there are some things I've been working on that we're going to announce mid-August or so, and I had to do some deep research to determine, okay, is this the right move, and from an announcement standpoint, and how do I frame the messaging of what we're going to announce? And it's been very, very helpful, as it's, if you announce something, people can take things one or two ways and take it positive or negative. And
Yeah.
so you want to make people understand, here's the reason.
Yeah, it's
And
like a sentiment analysis,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So and it's been helpful for me because it gave me some ideas on which I probably would not have got it myself right off the bat. I may have got there after, a week or two, but and maybe after 4 or 5 people looked at it, but basically I've got a good pathway for the messaging that we're going to use. So I think that just like anything else, the 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 key to these tools is you don't let them do the work, but let them help you. And that advanced reasoning tool, it sit there and crank for like 45 minutes on my. I fed it spreadsheets, and I fed it a bunch of stuff, and risk analysis, and all kinds of different things, and use personal, what I think, and and it's like having a data analysis and a advisor, and that's the way I'm kind of using that advanced tool, is using it kind of as an advisor.
Mhm.
And I'm not letting it make a decision for me, for God's sake, but at least I can be advised, and potentially, do something the way that probably is the way for success. So it's just like we're getting ready to launch Guest Match Pro. Mm, Probably not Monday, because we found some stuff today that needs to be fixed in our beta testing. But I'm hoping sometime next week. And there, there's a whole bunch of we've got copy done, but there was a whole bunch of things that needed. There's you have a question mark next to a prompt. And I'm like, "Oh god, I don't wanna write these," 'cause so I just did screenshots of all those pages that had those question marks where you hover and you have a little pop-up, and I I had ChatGPT create those hover pop-ups in about 20 minutes. I took about another hour to edit them, and I was like, "Yes," save me a massive amount of time. So
Yeah, I think it's really easy to ask these large language models to do things that we humans think is important to get an answer to, and then when it actually outputs the answer to you, you c- it gives you so much that it makes it difficult to figure out, well,
what's
what's really
important?
usable out of this,
It's all
right?
about the
What's
prompting, You have to really, answer these 3 questions.
Yeah,
You
even the
know?
answers it gives you, I kind of wonder somewhat if it just doesn't have
It's still a language model, it's not AGI yet. So,
it just doesn't have the the human intuition
yeah,
aspects of it that makes the output usable.
yeah. The
It's
danger is thinking
Yeah,
it does and then using those outputs, and, you have to be very, very careful. I think goes back to what the Google lady said a couple of years ago, that there's gonna be, the super creative people that are doing great prompts, and then there's going to be the quality assurance folks and those that have had knowledge and experience, and then uh, everything else in the middle is the thunking is what's going to be affected the most. And I kind of see that already, is that the inputs are super important, and then the analysis of the outputs and making sure that what it's giving you is correct, and
mhm.
actually doing the math, going back and make sure you've done the math on a spreadsheet, and not let it create you know pie charts and stuff for you without making sure it got the formulas right.
Yeah, I had to create some spreadsheets here recently, and I it told me that it gave me all these a list of 50 different detailed items and different columns and all that stuff like that. And I exported the spreadsheet and I pulled it into Excel, and all of the columns and all the rows were filled with generic information. So, you know, I just think that we're still at a stage where this stuff just isn't as good as it's being spun up to be. And I do wonder if if we're still a ways out from this stuff really being usable at a level, or is the really good AI being reserved for those
Mm.
that are paying the big high prices?
So, by the way, I gotta ask you something. Because I've been looking through my email and I can't find it. Did you send me an email, just something to do with the Podcast Hall of Fame, a couple of weeks ago?
Mm, I don't think so. Here, I'm probably soon going to do it, but I haven't done
Okay,
it yet.
because I thought I saw an email come in, and I said, "Oh, I have to look at that later." And maybe it was for some other awards. I think you and I were both interviewed by Carmen. Did you get interviewed by Carmen talking about the Hall of Fame? And
Yeah,
yeah, I did too. He come in he wanted to talk to me about the podcast awards. So
yeah, that's probably what it was.
maybe that was the kicker, but seems like it was before that. So I'm glad I didn't miss something. Um,
Yeah.
I saw this. It was in Pod News. Indie film follows Ronald Young Jr.'s hunt for a breakout podcast with cameos from Adam Curry, Ira Glass, Kara Swisher, and Mark Marin, mainstreaming podcast culture on screen. So this is some sort of. It's going to be premiered at the
Yeah,
Oak.
it's a documentary called Age of Audio.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
going to be premiered at the Oak Cliff Film Festival, wherever that is. So I
Yeah, I don't know
subscribe
what
to their
it is.
YouTube channel, so I look forward to watching what they've done
Yeah, I
there.
watched the trailer
Yeah,
for it,
it's pretty good.
and it's like, you know, there's been like 3 or 4 documentaries like this made over the years. It's very similar, Todd.
Yeah, and it was kind of curious because they highlighted the Ambies Awards, and
Mhm.
um, speaking of which, I've not even heard anything from the Ambies. Is the podcast that organization still working?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, they've
Yeah.
been very quiet,
Well, yeah.
very
Or it's
very
or
quiet.
they're talking to a different community than
Definitely, definitely
you're
not.
participating in,
Yeah,
Todd. Yeah.
definitely not me. That's for sure. Um, what's this thing that you've got here talking about? Podcasts are making us miserable.
There's well, I think you jumped to the would you jump to the bottom or something? Or here, let me
No,
see what this
I
is.
switched pages because we're working off 2 pages today.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. Um, hmm.
The piece critiques the pervasive nature of podcasts in modern life, arguing that endless podcast
Oh, yeah,
consumption
here it is. Yeah.
feeds anxiety. Only if you're listening at 1.52 or 2.5 speeds should it feed anxiety. Loneliness and performative culture of always optimizing. It questions the mental health effects of podcasting as a medium of relentless content churn.
Yeah.
Well, we're dealing with that every day. They
Yeah, I
continue.
think it's just part of the what the media culture now, right? It's
Yeah.
is a lot of anxiety, this loneliness, this performative culture, right?
I
As we all become kind of creators, and I think that's really the most interesting thing about what's going on right now is this perception that everyone now is a creator,
Hmm.
right? And that it's all be- funneling into, and I hear Gary Vaynerchuk saying this a lot here recently, and then I'm hearing other people say this too. It's an interest based um, kind of economy now. It's not social media or those terms. Social media, podcasting, all this stuff are kind of legacy terms to really describe what's really going on. Is that everyone is now at some level a creator, right? Um, and that it's all people are being inundated with media now, so people are gravitated towards things that they have an interest in, right?
Right.
Which I guess has always been there when you think about it, but that's what's driving, like this social e-commerce stuff that's going on. People are coming together around these communities of sorts that is based on their interests, which has kind of always been fundamental to podcasting, really. It's just now it's kind of going into so many different types of media, so many different ways of doing video now or doing audio on all these different platforms, whether it's a private community or on a public channel like a YouTube or any of these platforms. Um, that it's kind of evolving into, each one of us has our interests. It's like you and I, Todd, have
Yeah.
interest in podcasting, right?
Yeah.
So we gravitate towards trying to follow news and information
Hmm.
about podcasting. So it's our interest, and that's what drives what people do. And it's hard to think about people that are kind of cross pollinating themselves across a lot of different interest areas.
So Rob, I have breaking news though.
You
I
do?
have a news flash.
You have a flash?
Hell has frozen over.
Yes, it has.
Did you see my Facebook post?
Oh, yes, about you're gonna get, fiber to your
Yeah,
place.
it has.
Yeah, I saw
So
that. Yeah.
my mom sent me a picture of orange spray marks on the
Yeah, yeah,
yard.
spray markers, right. Yeah, I
And
saw that
the
picture.
reason I knew what that was is about a month ago, I was driving about 5 miles from my house, and they were doing something alongside the road, and Chris, it's a country road, so I stopped and I said, "What are you guys doing?" And so we're putting in fiber for Frontier, and of course, I'm not a big fan of Frontier, but I said, "Holy shit, are you really?" And I said, does it take to bribe you guys to come down Broccobank Road?" And the guy just kind of looked at me kind of funny, right? And so my neighbors are a little upset because they basically, and it must be because of house density, they basically came up a main paved road, and then the road that is just north of me, they came
Mhm.
up that road, crossed us, and then turned right and went back down. So they basically made a box around. So basically, the fiber's going to go right through by my property,
Mm.
and so I don't know how long, but hell has
So
frozen
how are they
over.
gonna get it from the street to your house?
I don't care. I'll dig the trench myself.
Oh, you will? Have you actually reached out to them to find out what
No,
that
no,
pathway is?
but that's I'm sure they're going to be putting flyers in the mail and stuff when they're ready. But I will definitely and I told my mom if they come by the house before I'm back, I said make sure we get a case of beer in the back of their truck, So you know I'm going to make sure that the fiber's in well around my house. So.
So how far is it from the street to your house?
100 feet.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, yeah, and I like I
That
said,
shouldn't be too expensive. If it was like a quarter mile, then it
no,
might be a
no.
different situation.
I would go
Yeah.
rent the trencher machine myself anyway. I wouldn't care. So, and one of my neighbors, messaged in the Facebook chat, and she said, "I hope they come down my way," but they had turned the corner, and she's just 2 houses up the street, so but there's not a lot of density further down. So that's the only reason I think that they came my way is because the opposite road that if I look west and the section of road that's a mile that they didn't go along the main road, there's not very many houses there, but there's a whole bunch of houses on these three segments. So that's the only reason I think that we've got it. So maybe some of this rural internet money is finally going to be used to actually bring rural internet to the rural community.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
That'd be novel, wouldn't it?
I'm jazzed, even if it takes another 6 months, it's,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome, so s
So Todd, I think we saw kind of I don't know if this is a novel moment or not with Fox News, I guess, has launched its first podcast licensing deal. Yeah, did you see this?
so it's
It's a
for the conservative-leaning show Ruthless.
Ruthless,
I had
right?
no idea. I've never heard of that show.
Yeah, I hadn't either, but it's interesting that they maybe did a
But
licensing
are
deal
but
to
are they a
get
YouTube
that
channel?
show on their channel.
Yeah. Are they a YouTube channel, or because they have that Fox Nation thing, so I wonder if it's gonna be in Fox Nation and not on Fox.
Yeah, they don't
They
specify
didn't
here.
specify who it is. Of course, CNN has been doing some revamping of their podcast too. Heard a little whimsical about that. Um, hmm.
So
Well,
we might see more of these or some of these successful video podcasts make it to cable,
yeah.
which
Who-
I don't know if that's the right path for them to go, but I'm not sure that the scale is there, but
Well,
um,
who wants to sign us for some network? Well,
right. Yeah.
yeah. What do we have to put together? The Podcast News Network, PNN, or something like that?
Right. Yes. So I guess, it's part of a bigger trend, around, social media or interest media is what it's been called now. And these video platforms are becoming
I've never
considered to
heard
be
that word,
primary news
interest
sources
media.
now,
Who are you hanging out
right?
with? Interest media, huh? That's what is that what
Yeah.
the, is that what
Yeah.
the younger generation is called? It's interest media, or is that some executive come up with a new slang word?
Well, I think the person that's pushing that out there now is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, okay.
So
Gary V is so over the top half the times. I haven't listened to any of his stuff in 5 years.
yeah.
So it seems like he's always yelling. So
Well, I mean, he's a very bombastic
yeah,
personality, but he does have a history of being right
yeah, he
uh,
does.
about these social platforms and the direction of where things are going. And he's also really, really hot on this, you know, um, kind of s- social e-commerce kind of stuff, like the Whatnot platform and things like that. He's selling things. It's this whole thing around everybody has to have a business now.
Oh
Everybody
yeah.
has to start a
You
company.
have to have
Everybody
you
has
have
to
to have a
sell
side you
something.
have to have a side hustle.
Yeah. So that's the culture that this up and coming generation has, is that they're being put in a box, right? That they can't afford things, so that they have to make their whole life about scrambling to make money in any way they can. So,
Well, a certain part of the population doesn't want to work.
well,
That's
yeah,
a
or they
piece of
just
it
don't want
too.
to work at certain things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm pretty pleased so far. My son has been interning with us, and so I've tried to keep my nose out of everything that's going on because I don't want to influence things. But I asked the dev team last week, "How's he doing?" you know, is I know my kid's smart, but you just want to kind of know. Tell me the truth. And yeah, he's holding his own, so I'm pretty proud of him. So maybe there's a future Cochrane destined for raw voice. That'd be kind of interesting.
Well, it's got to be someone that eventually replaces you, Todd.
Yeah, someone does at some point. Yeah, someone has to come in.
Well, we
He,
have to think about that at some point. Is it, who's who's gonna take over the mantle of doing the new media show? I guess
yeah,
nobody,
yeah.
probably.
He did send me a note. He said, "Damn, you know a lot."
It's just been around a long time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Just hang out there, youngster, and just absorb the knowledge.
yeah, right. W- Well, Todd, I don't know if you've noticed the world that we're in now is there just seems, I don't know if you get this impression too, in your own kind of mobile phone of just there's always just a constant um, bombardment of what I consider kind of like scams, right?
Oh,
There's always somebody after you for
I almost
something,
I
right?
almost got caught by one last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And,
I'm a big
and
Toomey fan, and I can never have afforded their suitcases
mm,
because they're $1,000. Who's gonna
right,
pay $1,000 for a suitcase? I can't afford that. And
right.
I got this, saw this thing in Facebook. And it said, Facebook, Toomey something year sale, as much as 80% off. I'm like, holy shit. So I clicked on the ad and I'm like, wow, I can get a Toomey suitcase for $210. And I was all in. I had like 3 suitcases ordered, and I got all the way through and got to the point where I was to click my credit card, and I was clicking and said, it's only letting me pay with PayPal. Why is that? I don't wanna use PayPal, that's my business account. I gotta use my personal account, and I said, That's not gonna work," and I'm looking at the site, and I was not on Tumi.com,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked like Tumi.
Yeah, and I guess it's happening around social media accounts getting hijacked
Oh,
around fake podcasts and stuff like that. There's a scam trend where creators' social media accounts are hijacked to promote fake podcasts
hmm,
and scam products, right? Kind of like what you were just talking about. So it's victims include high-profile creators like Magic Singh, I guess, is one of them who was featured in this article. The issue points to a broader concern around platform security, reputation protection, and monetization pressures that the creators face today. Um, so I think it's just a constant war out there, and it's all everybody's trying to scam everybody or um, sell expensive, mastermind programs
right, right,
and there's so many kind of people out there that are think, well, it's so easy to get rich quick and to, just sell an ebook and you're going to make $10,000 a month or launch a podcast and you're going to make all this money and all this stuff and
I get emails all the time from Facebook, people trying to get into my account,
yeah,
and then, and this is, this thing I was talking about a minute ago. That's like the third thing in recent months that I've seen on Facebook that was advertised on Facebook that was scam. Another thing a few months ago was, I have a Ford Edge, and I've got the nice. I bought the aftermarket. I don't know, it's the weather shield or whatever they are, mats for it. Because you live in Michigan, you know how it is there where you live too. You just get in your vehicle and the floor gets jacked up. So I wanted those bucket types that seal, and I found some other company was selling something really really cool, and I got to the point and I'm like, $99 for what they're trying to sell me. I said something doesn't add up. Even Chinese stuff is this should be more than that, and so I had looked at it and I went and did Google it and said, is this site a scam? And yep, it sure was. And
hmm
again, using PayPal as a mechanism to extract money, and I think people have to be real careful with their accounts now and have two-factor authentication. It drives me crazy having two-factor authentication on
oh yeah,
X, but you have to
yeah,
at this point.
yeah. I guess this magic guy that I mentioned to was, I guess, a victim of a scammer who had been posing as a booking agent for a famous American podcast
Oh,
and and was trying to charge him money to be a guest on this guy's podcast.
I get requests all the time from people. Do you know this podcaster? Can you connect me with them? I get that
Hmm
request a lot.
Yeah.
I agreed to be on a Business AI Summit. They asked me, come on, it's next week, and the approach was very good. The interview, and they pre-qualified me, and what are you going to show, and so it felt and it is legitimate, but their marketing tactics that I've seen that they've used as part of their upsell, it bothers me a little bit.
Mhm.
So everything is leading to some sort of upsell, and
Yeah.
so I guess that's the way things are now. Um, so yeah, I think I'm going to be just a little more cognizant of who I'm agreeing to speak for or speak with. Um,
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of danger areas here that people don't immediately think of because a lot of these things that are being perpetrated now are things that just didn't happen in the past.
yeah,
People didn't try and scam on every little type of business opportunity
yeah,
and deal and even employment type
yeah,
stuff too, right? Work stuff can be scams too.
yeah.
And a lot of big employers will, I've been hearing more about this here lately that um, s- s- some employers will just run fake employment ads
Hmm.
um, just to make it look like that they're a growing, business. It's just another PR effort on the part. The roles that they advertise never get filled, and they just keep running them over and over again, and it generates all this interest and people think that they're a growing company, that they're looking for, so they're getting thousands of people
Yeah,
applying for jobs, but the company never hires anybody. So you kind of have, different levels of scams that are going on out
hmm,
there, and you have to. It, to me, it just comes across as our society and our business culture has become desperate, right? And people are willing to throw ethics out the window.
well, that's what happened in China.
Yeah,
Um, they it that's they had a transition at some point. I think you can go and look at history, but the business ethics really went completely sideways. And that's where IP of the United States companies started being stolen, just outright stolen. And it
yeah,
continues today.
yeah. It does.
People
Yeah.
get mad when I say these kinds of things, but I've seen it, having gone to events like CES and so forth. And, you know, I told people that have new gear there, have a, a drape or something that you can put over your booth when these 4 or 5 individuals come in with a camera, notebook, and tape measure, and don't let them touch your device.
Yeah.
Um, they're going to copy it sooner or later. Just don't give them 6 months head start, especially if you're in prototype mode.
Yeah, and I've been increasingly, this is another use for AI that I found that can be pretty effective is that if you get a pitch or you get some sort of a solicitation or you get some sort of a offer that looks interesting, um, then just take that, whatever it is, and run it through the latest AI platform and just ask it, does
Oh,
this look legitimate? Does it look
mm,
like it's real? And just do a layer of vetting like this because oftentimes the AI models will have seen patterns out there that can give you a clue that this may not be
yeah.
legitimate.
The amount of email, that just scares me to death. I talk about it almost every week with the team.
Hmm.
We had a support ticket come in, and Dave asked me, "Hey, are we expecting a DocuSign from some name?" I'm like, "No, we're not." And for God's
Yeah,
sake, don't click on that link.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
I've been,
Always look at the source of the email that you're getting. It's so if it's claiming to be from a legitimate company
yeah,
and the
but
visual
that's not
elements of it.
always the case now. They're spoofing that stuff left and right. Yeah, you just got to be careful. It's what it is they catch you at a
Well, it's called a phishing attack. It's been
Yeah, and
around for a
they
long
catch
time,
you at a weak
right?
moment. You click on something and you're done. Your accounts are
You're compromised,
compromised. You know,
right?
some sort of tracking software being put on. People don't believe it, but on all my Macs, I run. antivirus and malware, and everyone says why. Well, the amount of stuff that it catches, especially websites. Say, oh, don't go to this website. It'll pause from loading a website. So yeah, I think it's because we're going to get tricked at some point into clicking onto something.
Right. It's gonna, it's gonna be hard to um, decipher what's real and what's not real. I mean, what's real for for you to, you know, give credibility to,
Yeah,
and what to ignore. It's going to be harder and harder to tell,
yeah, for sure.
um, especially
So,
with AI.
so protect your assets, ladies and gentlemen. Two-factor authentication, even though it's annoying. It's gotten to the point now, like every service that has it's tokens, RSA tokens, that type of stuff. Yeah, I got 3 apps now that are running token because every company uses a little bit different token, and I got 3 different authenticator apps now. Um, and you always worry about, okay, I'm going to change phones, and is this stuff going to transfer? And which I'm not at this time, but that's the thing that always worries me when I move to a new phone. But what is everybody hearing out there? What's going on? It's summer. It's a little quiet. Minimal news going on in the space. What is everyone else in podcast land hearing these days? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, is there any buzz that you're hearing about podcast movement or any kind of exciting stuff going
I
on with that?
I the Podcast Standards Project reached out to Dan for a meeting room, and Dan made one available. So we're actually going to have a meeting room at Podcast Movement. I offered up to, bring in some catering, water, coffee, or whatever that could be in the room. And of course, anytime you talk catering in an event like that, it's that's $1,000, no matter what you do. And the I was looking at the maps of meeting rooms, and there's a lot of openings for meeting rooms. So it doesn't appear to me that they've sold out their meeting rooms for this event. Libsyn, Triton, SoundStack, not SoundStack, Sounds Profitable, have a segment of them. See if I can, it's in my Slack channel. I can't show a screenshot of it, but see here, event planning. It looks like they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 meeting rooms left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 sold. So they got more than half of their meeting rooms sold. So, and I am appreciative, Dan, they gave the PSP a good rate. So I think the companies are splitting the cost for the meeting room. So we'll have a place to bring people in if we want to talk. Maybe only chairs in there, depending on how much a cup of coffee costs.
So Todd, I had Chat GPT 4 make an image for tonight's episode,
Oh, yeah?
and I pulled the image into Paint, which is part of Windows,
Yeah.
right? And to try and
there's a
resize it and stuff.
there's a word I haven't heard in a while.
Well, and
Yeah.
they've added Copilot to Paint.
Oh.
So there's a lot of advanced capability in just the basic image
Hmm.
editor that they had on Windows for many years. So there's ability for AI can generate images inside of that application now. So they've even even Notepad has AI capabilities now. So
That's funny.
they yeah, well it is. But what I wanted to mention is I pulled the thumbnail that I generated from Chat GPT into Paint on Windows, and it flagged the image. It said saved with content credentials.
Oh.
Content credentials metadata discloses that the work was created with generative AI.
Oh,
So it actually is embedding in the metadata of the image. So when you upload it to YouTube, it's actually sharing that potentially with the publishing platform.
one,
So it's another form of labeling that
yeah.
we're starting to see these bigger or these bigger companies, bigger tech companies start to enable that in the metadata.
That's one thing that Sora will not do, not Sora, the Chat GPT version of the image creator. They will not create a 1920 by 1080 image. It's some weird, it won't do a true 16 by 9, so that you can just resize it up. You have to do some finagling with it. It annoys me to
Yeah, that's
no
what I
end.
had to do with this one out of
Yeah,
Chat
yeah,
GPT was I had to resize it to was it the 1920 by
right.
1080
Yeah,
size. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it does that on purpose, to be honest with you. It doesn't create a perfect 16 by 9 image. So I don't know why they do that. But
Hmm.
anyway, we're top of the hour here.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got through it. I have a little editing to do on today's show. So if you've
Yeah. Yeah. We had a rough start, didn't
it
we?
sucks, but it's okay. I'll get it chopped up, and everyone that's listening to this later will just have heard the where I chopped it. So hopefully I can make it so it doesn't sound too bad. Um, yeah, because I got a master recording. So
Okay.
I think that's it. Todd
All
at
right.
blueberry.com, at Geek News on X, at Geek News, at geeknews.chat on Mastodon.
Yeah, I'm on X as well at Rob Greenlee, on YouTube at Rob Greenlee, at all the social or interest media platforms now, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the go-to platforms now. So you can find me there or at robgreenlee.com too. So
Everyone, thanks for being here. We'll be back again, 8 p.m. Eastern Time is our kickoff time. And believe it or not, Rob, I've been up for like 17 hours. So I'm going to bed immediately after this. Yeah, I worked straight through today.
crazy
So
lifestyle.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. But that's the price you pay for, in my opinion, living where I am currently living right now and still working.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks. We'll see you back
Okay.
here next Wednesday. Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.